that doing a startup next year. Or
You're starting a startup or you're joining a startup?
I'm starting a startup.
Oh, wow.
What?
It's like in a sunglasses shop, but it's in Tijuana. So I'm gonna be like,
Yeah,
I
very
don't know
cool.
if I'm gonna have time for that.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's a valid excuse. Oh, perfect.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys all doing?
We're doing good, yeah.
Okay, so it's almost finals week and it's almost graduation, right?
Pretty much. So we're actually ushering in a new e-board today. So everything's kind of in a transitory period.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you tell me everyone's names while I got you guys in a
So
small room. It's perfect.
I'm the current vice president, and until like another 30 minutes, I will not be the vice president anymore.
Okay.
I'm Cassandra. I'm a general body member.
Oh, great. Okay. And then everyone out there sitting. So are you guys what years? Freshmen, sophomore, any seniors graduating in the next 2 weeks?
I think so. No, I think we're all third years and under. So
Okay, great. Nice. So you guys are all part of Pre-Law Society, and I love that this is a small group so I can see you all. It helps if I'm in person, but we can do this a little bit over Zoom. So who is everyone thinking about going to law school?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is everyone like political science or like English major or something along those lines? Any like science majors?
Well,
I'm philosophy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, philosophy is yeah, among many of those that end up going to law school. That might help you actually on the LSAT. There's some tricky wording that sometimes philosophy majors know a little bit better.
I think for the most part, it's poli-sci. Yeah.
Okay, great. So do you guys have any, I know you're almost done being vice president, so do you have any announcements or you want to do anything first before I get started?
No, go ahead. We're actually after this meeting, we'll have all our other e-board stuff to do. So take your time.
Okay, great. So hey everyone, I'm Alexandra. You guys can call me Allie. Thanks to those who invited me to come talk for you guys. I'm very excited that I get to know you a bit, and I know it's not in person, but next time, maybe next semester, good thing you guys are not graduating, so I'll get to see you in person next time. But I am a licensed attorney and I am also a law school admissions coach. So that's what I do full time right now is I have a company that I help pre-law students who are in undergrad plan out when they want to go to law school and how to get there. So I had a lot of difficulty kind of navigating the process myself when I was in undergrad. And I didn't have anyone, I'm the first attorney in my family, so I didn't have anyone who really, explained the process or, knew how to help me through it all. So I took a couple years, and after I graduated, I took a gap 2 years and figured it all out. I then entered law school. I got multiple full ride offers. And once I got through law school and I graduated and I took the California bar exam, which I passed on the first time, and then I practiced as an attorney for a little while. And I really realized that so many people are still having, such difficulty navigating, the whole LSAT process and how to apply and when to apply and, what you should write on your personal statement and what you should write for a diversity statement. So I found there was just such a need where I could give back to you guys and to students who need help navigating the process and want a little bit of advice. Before I move on, am I super bright on the screen? Can you guys see me okay?
Yeah, we can see you perfectly.
Okay, great. It's like double Zoom for me, so I can't tell. Just want to make sure you guys can see that. And audio is good?
Oh, it's all good.
Great. So I'll share a bit of a presentation with you guys. What I usually do for pre-law societies is kind of just talk about the overview of the application process. Since a lot of you are, sophomores or juniors, you're probably just starting to think about like, okay, I want to go to law school, or my parents are making me go to law school, or whatever your reason is for, choosing to go to law school. It's probably starting to creep up like, okay, now I need to kind of figure this out, and, okay, what do I do next? And what's my kind of college planning while I, navigate this process? Because there's a lot of steps and it's really difficult. The good news is that it is possible. So, and what I mean by that is it's possible to do it really, really well. And it's possible to get great scholarships and to get into schools that you really want to get into. And the good news is you guys are coming from a really great undergrad school. San Diego State, I know, is one of the hardest schools to get into. And it's got a great reputation in California. And so using that to your advantage and really learning the application process, and knowing when to apply and how to apply and what admission officers are really looking for is kind of the key to get you guys to go exactly where you want to go with this. So I just want to make sure I'm your resource. I'm the person you can go to for any questions. So I'll do a little bit of a presentation to overview of how the application process works. I'm sure a lot of you kind of know what that might look like. And then I can hear you guys just fine. So stop me at any time if you have any questions, or if you have any questions right now about any of it, the law school application process, personal statements, whatever it is, feel free to just talk out loud. I can absolutely hear you fine. So with that, let me pull up a little PowerPoint I have. If I can, let's see. Okay. Who's ever hosting, if you want to give me permission to share, I can do that. If not, I'm happy to just run with it this way and I can send you guys a PowerPoint later.
I can tell you right now, just let me. That is the button. Kind of. Okay.
And is anyone in the audience already taken an LSAT by chance?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are a co-host now, so.
Okay, sweet. Let me. And raise your hand if anyone's taking the LSAT this summer? Is anyone? Oh, okay, great. Which one are you taking? June?
I'm doing August.
August. Okay, great. And have you started studying yet, or you're?
Yeah, to a class that's like an LSAT studying class, and it just started. So it's been going well so far.
Good, good. Is that online or is it through your school?
It's online.
Nice. Do you mind sharing what company that's with?
Taskmasters?
Testmasters. Okay, actually that's the one I did. I really liked the way that they taught, and I really liked their books. The only reason I ask is because some of your classmates might ask you, or, getting information from other people of like whether you liked a course or not is super helpful. There's a lot of, excuse me, there's a lot of great prep companies out there, and there's a lot of them to choose from. So it can be kind of difficult when you're picking which one you want to use, and they're all different prices, and there's like live online courses, there's self-paced, there's all sorts of things. So if you like what, the one you have, definitely share that with some of your classmates, because it's hard to find one to, that you really like. So I'm glad you're liking that. And you already started it?
Yeah, I started a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Okay, great. Let me see. And is anyone else thinking of taking August? No. Okay, great. Hi, welcome. I'm just dealing with the difficulties of technology. One moment.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. We always have issues on our end too, so.
It's always a billion ways to figure it out. Okay, let's see.
Class yesterday. Glad I didn't go.
So bored.
Yeah. Did the whole period. Were there any interesting ones?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Like because of stress or
No, I'm just like.
so passionate?
Yeah, she's so
Which
purposeful. She was gonna be a teacher.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Oh, sweet, but
Yeah,
that was good.
yeah. How's finals going for everyone?
Going.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Did you say bad, Charlotte? No, why? Why bad?
It's just too much,
It is, stay strong, 2 more weeks, almost done, or 1 more week, no. Okay, we can see now.
Awesome. Okay, great. And you guys can still see me somewhere.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay, so bit of an overview. So this is my company, A+ Admissions. I specifically do law school admissions coaching. So like I said, I did my undergrad actually at UCLA, and then I took a 2-year gap year. And during that time, I spent a lot of time preparing for the LSAT. I did test masters for about 6 months. As it can creep up on a lot of people, sometimes the LSAT does take more than the standard 3 months that people say, you need to study for. So build in a little bit extra time when you start thinking about when you're going to take the LSAT. During that time, during that gap year, I also really focused on learning how to play the law school admissions game. And I learned exactly, when was the right time to apply, how to apply, what exactly admissions officers were looking for in personal statements and diversity statements, what those differences were in those two, how to write my resume, all of the bunch of things that you're going to have to submit when you do a law school application. So I spent a ton of time really focusing in on that and making sure I did it in the right way. And because of that, I started now this company to help share all that knowledge with you guys, so you don't have to figure it out on your own. You actually can just use my method and use my system, and hopefully, get exactly what you want out of law school. So I know you guys all probably know this, and since you're choosing a really difficult profession and a really difficult path, I just want to reiterate the fact that this isn't an easy thing you're going to do, and this is something that you have to take a lot of pride in and a lot of encouragement from yourself and from your peers around you. And that's why it's great to be in like a pre-law society, because you're all going through this at the same time. Applying to law school and law school itself, but the application process, it's not easy. You have to wear this badge of, okay, I really am going to take a lot of time out of either my junior year or my senior year or taking that gap year to really hone in exactly what I need to apply to law school. So but the good news is about it, and something I really love to share with people, because it's easy to run into attorneys who might be older and a little bit cynical about law school itself. I really want to hone in on the fact that it is a really amazing thing to do, and I applaud you all for wanting to go down this path. It is an incredible journey. It's one of the best things I think you can do for yourself, for your career, for your family, for everything around you. And I really think it's a great journey that you can take. Not only will you grow personally, but professionally, your life will completely change. And so I'm a big advocate for people who are excited about the process and want to go through it and want to get into law school, because I truly believe in all of the great rewards that come from it. So when you decide to do it, it does take a lot of effort. It does take a lot of courage to get through it. But if you have a plan and if you have some guidance on how to take those steps in order to get into law school and then get everything you want out of it, I think you're going to be really happy with what comes, after. Once you're an attorney forever. So I kind of like to say, it's like turning 21. Once you're 21, you're 21 forever, right? You will always be able to get a drink at a bar. Same thing with an attorney. Once you're an attorney forever. You get to wear that badge for as long as you want in whatever profession you decide to do. You know, whether you decide to open like a local flower shop or something in your hometown, you're opening a flower shop, a small business, as an attorney. You're not just doing that as someone else, right? Or if you decide to work in big corporate law, like you're doing that as an attorney. And it's a really, really great badge to wear. And I think if you can stay strong and have a plan through the process, you're going to reap those rewards, not only as soon as you graduate, but forever, for life. So I say that to encourage, but also prepare you that because it is such a big deal, it's important to make it a big deal right now. Start taking it seriously right now. You know, as a junior, as a sophomore, even, I even have students who are freshmen who come to me and say, you know, I want to go to law school after this. What do I need to do now? And that's great. You need to start taking accountability, start wearing that badge right now, right? Start saying to yourself, okay, I need to start thinking like an attorney if I'm going to be one. And it's a great process and it's so rewarding. So I just want to encourage you all to kind of wear that badge right now and to start thinking about it right now as if you're acting on it right now. So that being said, again, this is just a little bit about me, where I went to school. I graduated, I went to Chapman Fowler School of Law, which is just in Orange County, so not too far from you guys. I graduated and had my JD in 2022. I took the California bar exam. And then I practiced as a civil litigation attorney, which is essentially a trial attorney. If you guys have any questions about that or what it's like to be an attorney or the California bar, which I assume most of you will end up taking since you're coming from a school in California. If not, I can tell you all about how the other bars work and, you know, how across the country things differ a little bit and what the California bar is like. But that's just a little bit about me. Now, I really want to make this presentation something that you guys can walk away with, right? So first, you're going to walk away with that badge of like, okay, I want to be an attorney. What do I need to do now? So I just want to give you a couple of things to start thinking about and start thinking about where to start in the process, because the process is big. This is a short list of all the things that do need to get done in order to apply to law school. So where to start? When you start thinking about your application, you might hear admissions officers start talking about, or people in the legal field start talking about hard skills and soft skills. And that's just what this means. So your hard skills are your GPA and your LSAT. These are the two, you know, biggest pillars of your application. Unfortunately, right? None of us like to be labeled by numbers, but as you all know, you got into a great undergrad university, you know that your numbers stand out when you apply. So GPA and LSAT are those two big numbers. That's why I really, you know, applaud people who take the LSAT very seriously. So, you know, signing up for Testmasters and taking that class seriously and starting to study now for the August test, like one of you is doing, is really great, because you actually do need that much time, and learning from a professional how to take the LSAT is great, because there's only two things on that hard skills list, right? It's just your GPA and your LSAT. Those are your big numbers. So taking those things really seriously, making sure, you know, fingers crossed your finals go well in the next couple of weeks. Don't overwhelm yourself with this. That this does not mean you have to be a 4.0 student by any means. That's not realistic. That's not who we are. Applaud you if you are, but we're not all like that. And so you don't need to overstress yourself with these numbers, but it's a great idea to start thinking, okay, I need to take these two things seriously if I want to go to law school. The next part is your soft skills. So the soft skills include personal statement, diversity statement. Sometimes schools also have specific essays or short statements that they'll ask for. That's school specific essays. Sometimes those come up. Your resume, letters of recommendation, and then addenda. So those are kind of the bigger soft skills that play a part in your application. There's also other things like what your major is and your transcripts and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into it, but those are kind of your big two two parts of the application, the hard skills and the soft skills, both of which need a lot of attention. And the good news is, if any of you are sitting there, maybe like I was like, oh shoot, I don't have that great of a GPA, like that's not looking good. The great news about law school and law school applications is that it's actually really different than undergrad. So they actually will look at your entire application, and all of those soft skills play a huge role. So there's actually students that I know who have gotten into really great top tier law schools with LSATs and GPAs that don't even look like they should have applied. But because of their soft skills and some of the other things about their personality that showed through in their application, they got into those schools. So I just want to encourage you guys to look at both of these columns as equal and putting a lot of effort. So as you can see, that's kind of where, the beginning part of my speech was about, really getting ready to take on something challenging, because there's, as you can see, there's a lot of things here and they all need your attention. So before I go any further, is there any questions? I can see the room, so if anyone raises their hand or wants to speak out, I can see you. If not, okay, I'll keep going. Stop me anytime. Okay. So college planning. So you guys are all in college and no one's graduating this year, right? So we still have a little bit of work to do while we're in college, which is great. That's definitely the perfect time to start thinking about this. The biggest thing here, and something I can, help, give you something to walk away with today, is signing up for an LSAC account. So LSAC is the Law School Admissions Council, and lsac.org is kind of your home base for all things application, all things law school. It's where you're going to go to find the most recent information. It's actually where you're going to submit all your applications. So I would suggest going there first today and start looking at that. That's kind of your first task. Okay, after that, any questions? Sorry, I'm not sure if I heard something. Okay, so a big thing to think about while you're in college as well is the admission cycle. So law school, again, is a bit different from undergrad in terms of application cycle. And what I mean by that is pretty much all ABA accredited, which is like an accreditation that makes the school legitimate per se. They all operate on a rolling admissions basis. So rolling admissions means they see applications as they come and they admit people as they submit their application. So it's kind of a first come, first serve basis, which means that you should start thinking about applying early in the cycle. And that doesn't mean the day it opens, but that means the first couple months that an application will open. So applying early in the cycle, applying early in that rolling admissions process is going to be really great for your overall application, for opportunities like scholarships and things like that. Applications do stay open pretty much all the way through May, some schools even later, but I don't ever recommend someone applying that late in the cycle. You really want to make sure, you don't want to rush your application, but if you can start college planning and start working backwards and thinking about that cycle and having all your application materials ready by the time that that cycle opens, that you want to apply for, is going to be your best bet. So something that goes into this is LSAT planning. So like I said, take a little bit longer than you think to carve out some time for your LSAT studying. Statistics are saying it's about 3 months to study. From personal experience and from helping other students with this, I think it does take a bit longer, and you just want to factor that ability in to take a little bit longer with the LSAT. Again, it's that hard skill that is on the front of your application, and it signals a lot to the admissions officers. So taking a little bit extra time if you need it is a really good idea. So how this goes hand in hand with the rolling admissions process and the cycle, again, start working backwards, start thinking about, okay, what part of that cycle do I want to apply in? Hopefully it's the fall of 1 year. and then work yourself backwards and say, okay, how long do I need to study for the LSAT? When should I start studying? So that way I can have my applications in and my LSAT completed, and I actually have a score that I like by the time I can submit my application. Because the law schools won't read your application until your LSAT score is submitted. So even if you apply in the fall, let's say in like November, but then you take the, you say on there that you're taking the January LSAT, they're actually not going to look at any of your application until January. So make sure that your LSAT planning is a part of your overall college planning. In general too, I'm sure a lot of you know how the scores work. The score is on a scale of 120 to 180. If a little bit of reference, so if anyone's seen Legally Blonde, which is one of my favorite movies, and she walks in the room and she says, I got a 178 or 175 or whatever that was. That's incredible. That's Harvard level scores, right? So that's great if you're reaching for that, fantastic. But the average on statistics, the average countrywide LSAT is about a 150 to a 155. So awesome if you're shooting for those Harvard scores, but think about this a little bit more holistically, and falling into the 150s, 160s is really, really great. So just a little bit of point of reference for when you start studying. Also, this doesn't apply to any of you except for our friend who is taking the August LSAT, which I'm sure he knows. There are no games in August, so the LSAT's changing a little bit, and it's going to start changing in August of this year, which, as our friend there can tell you, I'm sure he's not studying any of the games. That's no longer a thing, so you all don't have to worry about that. There's also a couple different changes happening with the writing portion of the LSAT. It's nothing to worry about now, and I would say if any of you are also thinking about, starting to study, be aware that there's a couple changes coming, but it shouldn't be anything too major. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. So I just want to highlight something else. I know we talked a lot about the LSAT, and if any of you are like, oh my gosh, that sounds awful, I don't want to take that, do I have to? The answer is no longer yes. You actually have a couple options, but I want to be very careful about this. So about 100 law schools are now offering the GRE or the GMAT instead of the LSAT. And I just want to let you guys know of this, but be careful if you are thinking about taking one of these exams instead of the LSAT. The reason is because you want to make sure that the law schools that you want to apply to allow this exam, rather than having to take both the LSAT and the GRE, for example, because you found out later that a law school only allows the LSAT still. That's kind of why I asked in the beginning if there's any math majors or science majors. Usually they lean towards the GRE or the GMAT instead. Okay, one more quick thing, understanding your scores. This is just a general graph of kind of how to understand your scores. And again, those two big pillars, your GPA and your LSAT, this is what they look like to admissions officers. So this is the scale in which an admissions officer is putting your GPA or your LSAT against others. And so I put up USD and Chapman Law School, both obviously near you guys and in our areas. And here are the 25th, 50th, and 75th percentiles of each of these law schools. And this is the current incoming class of 2023. That's their class profile. As you can see, what we want to shoot for is that median, that 50th percentile. If you're in any of this range of any school, that's your goal. You kind of think of this as like your safety school will be in your 75th percentile, targets in that 50th, and your reach is in when you're hitting around their 25th percentile. Again, this is not everything. I've seen students who don't even touch these numbers get into schools because of their soft skills. So it's a good point of reference for when you're applying. Make sure you spread out your applications to hit a number of these, but also apply to some reach schools and focus on those soft skills if you are falling below in some of these areas. Now, these are just some of the things that I do with my students. LSAT planning, picking out what time of year and what LSAT a student should take is something I work directly with students with. We plan out what time of year, what LSAT they should take, what prep company they should use, depending on their personal, skills and study habits. That comes into play a lot. Also, personal statements, diversity statements, all the writing portions that really should be told is more of like a narrative versus like a reiteration of a resume, which a lot of people fall into that trap. And then cover letters. I helped a student this year get an internship at a DA's office with a good cover letter. So things like that are all part of the things I teach and things I help students with. And again, here's just something to walk away with today. So again, you're going to walk away with like your badge of, okay, I'm ready to go to law school. That's something I want to do, but also walk away with signing up for an LSAC account. It's totally free. I'm not associated with them at all. It's actually just something you guys will have to do at some point in the process. So I suggest doing this as quickly as you can. It just helps you get familiar with all things law school and LSAT. And here's how you do it. So you just go to their LSAC.org website, hit JD account, hit sign up and hit create. And that'll make you a LSAC account. So you can start learning about different schools and, get yourself familiar with all different aspects of the admissions process. Start college planning today. You guys are really in the prime spot of sophomores and juniors really thinking about going to law school. It's a great opportunity to start planning that today. Great. So this is me, and I'll leave this up. And I also will get all of your guys' emails to, I think one of the board members is going to send me all your emails. That way I can send you guys free resources, because one thing I like to do with all of the, live presentations I do with you guys is I have a lot of great like webinars and things coming out this summer, as well as online courses. And you will get discounts to all of those. You get a bunch of free resources, free tips on how to apply, when to apply, all those things. So either you can absolutely send me a text right now. It's the fastest way. If you send me a text with your email, I'll be sure to put you on that list and note that you went to a live session. You can also look at my Instagram, DM me that way. I come out with all different tips and tricks on there too. But I will stop sharing that. And I want to open it up to questions. Does anyone have, I know that was quick and fast, and there's a lot of parts of the application.
Yeah, I just have one question. I saw that you had a 2-year gap year before you went to school. So I'm actually planning to go work and like get a job related to poli-sci, and maybe not even like go to law school eventually, but how did you spend those 2 years, that 2-year gap year? And then what do you think that was useful, and what advice do you have regarding that?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of people do struggle with the like, should I take a gap year? Should I not? So many lawyers tell me to do it. My parents are telling me not to. It is a tricky situation. But my overall advice is that you can't go wrong with taking a gap year. The great thing about taking a gap year is you find time to figure out if you want to go to law school, which it sounds like something that you're debating. So I would say using that time to start talking to attorneys if you can, and I can always help you find people to talk to if you don't have anyone. Talking to attorneys, asking what they do, interning, which it sounds like you are getting an internship, doing that will really help you. I mean, the whole purpose is really just to make sure it's what you want, because clearly this is a big investment, both like with your time, but also money, right? Law school is not a very cheap thing to do. So as well as LSAT, studying in itself costs a lot of money. So I would say, using that time to really figure out is law school right for you? Is it something that you want to do? Is it something you want to get into? Talking to attorneys, having an internship in law will tell you a lot as well, about if you even like being in a law firm or working with people in general who are in law. I would also say if you're debating it at all, there's no time to waste for studying for the LSAT. So using that gap year or 2 years or whatever you're taking, if you start studying for the LSAT kind of right away and keep that in your, in your back pocket of maybe a couple times a week, you're putting in some hours studying. That way, if you do decide that you want to go to law school, you won't be behind in the cycles of, okay, now I need to take the LSAT. Oh, shoot, I haven't studied at all. So I would suggest playing around with starting to study for the LSAT if law school is a potential, just because that is something you will have to do. So that's really what I did with that, with those 2 years gap year. I studied for the LSAT, I did an internship, I worked in criminal law, which was really interesting. And I worked in San Francisco. I had a very cool experience doing that, going to courtrooms. I followed an attorney around to all different trials. So I got a lot of exposure and was like, okay, great, this is something I want to do. So I think you're doing it right. You're choosing, an internship and starting to look into it. I would say don't neglect the LSAT during that time because it will sneak up on you if you do end up wanting to go.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I was just gonna ask about the bar exam. So you said earlier it's kind of different, I guess based on where you take it. I was wondering if you just like elaborate more on that.
Yeah, so there are basically 2 types of the bar exam. There's a state-specific bar, and then there's what's called the multi-state bar exam. So state-specific bars, either a state itself can opt in for their own bar exam, like California has their own bar exam, and they so it's unique to California, right? But the multi-state bar exam, there's about 30 states now that have agreed basically on one bar exam. So you can either, it depends what state you're taking the bar in, but California, New York and Florida, for example, those all have their own bar exam. Couple like Arizona and Washington, they're all part of the multi-state bar exam. So what that means is for all the bar exams, whatever state you take it in is the state that you get licensed in. So if you want to be a licensed attorney in California, you need to take the California bar. If, for example, you're living in Arizona, you'll take that multi-state bar exam, but you'll be licensed in Arizona. But because you took the multi-state, you can actually apply to be licensed in the other states that allow that bar exam. So if you get licensed in Arizona because you passed the multi-state, you can then apply to the other states that allow that bar exam, and they can admit you to their bar without having to retake the test. That makes sense?
Thank you.
Cool. Are you from California?
I'm actually thinking about going out of state for law school, but and then possibly taking the bar somewhere else, but I don't know yet. I'm not set on that.
Yeah. So that's yeah, I have some students who, play with the idea of like, well, I'm from California. I think I want to practice law here, but I kind of want to go to law school in another state. The good news is that if you graduate from an ABA accredited law school, which are most law schools, there's only a couple that are not accredited, which you would know if you're applying to one of those. But if you graduate from an ABA accredited law school in any state, you can take the bar in any state. So even if you go to a school, let's say in New York, because you're like, well, I want to live in New York for 3 years and that sounds fun, but I really want to be a practicing attorney in Utah. You can still go to law school in New York, and when you graduate, you just fly to Utah and take the bar there that summer. So you can practice in any state. You just have to take the bar exam in that state.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if we have more questions, but we're running out of time. So I'm gonna ask everyone we have your contact information. So if anyone else has any more questions, we'll forward you to them or them to you.
Yeah,
Thank you again for making the time to present to us today. It was very educational and we really appreciate you being our last meeting of the year. It's definitely a good one. So thank you.
good. Well, yeah, of course. Anyone reach out anytime. I have a lot of free resources and I text with a lot of my students. So if you have any immediate questions, send me a text or an email. But I'll be in contact with you guys. I'll come back in person. That way we can do more of a workshop in person next semester. But enjoy your guys' summer and yeah, good luck on finals. You'll do great.
All right, you have a good rest of your day now.
Okay, bye.
You should contact her since you got the. Okay. Yeah, so I looked at the board outside. Apparently someone's coming in at 4:30, which means their load time is in 1 minute. So we're just gonna officially announce selections for all those who are here. So drum roll for president, Charlotte and Mia. Wait, 88.9% of the vote. That's crazy. I was that popular.
It's crazy.
For vice president, Pierre with 70% of the vote, right here. For treasurer, Lauren, is Lauren in the building? Okay, I'm not sure how to say her name, but anyways, I think she was the only one that ran. Oh, this is a close race. Charlize is not here, huh?
No.
Okay.
Next to me.
Okay.
She won by one though.
Misha, is Misha in the room? Congratulations. You are. Ready?
PR.
Okay. Oh, great. So you can talk to Sean with that. And then social chair. Drea, moving positions. And then let's see, speaker chair. Damn, that was close. Oh, good job, Marcos. I'm proud of you. You're gonna be great. And John Graham.
Anomaly, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No problem.